I believe that it's to the north of the Dome of the Rock, because in the Bible it says, leave out the outer court. It's been given over to the Gentiles to trample over. Josephus writes to us that the temple was located directly on the other side of the eastern gate, and the Golden Gate, see how it's all blocked up? See how there's a Muslim cemetery in there? All right. What was the guy's name that built Jerusalem? Suleiman the Magnificent? Suleiman the Magnificent was going to stop the Jewish Messiah because no good Jew is going to walk on a Muslim cemetery. I don't think that's going to stop him, do you? And I don't think blocking up the wall on the inside and the outside is going to stop them either, all right? But see how the Golden Gate lines up with that? The Dome of the Spirits is over a bedrock. Remember I told you about the bedrock? We saw where that bedrock of that same mountain. So this is Mount Moriah. This is where Abraham was going to sacrifice Isaac. God stopped him and said, I will provide myself. God taking the place of our sin. This is why Christianity is different from every religionism that there is in the world. Because only Christianity can deal with sin. God, as creator, takes the responsibility for his creation, paying himself the sacrifice of blood that had to be paid. It is an eternal law. It's like gravity. There's laws that we can't violate. All right, that was one that couldn't be violated. And it was from the foundation of the world. It wasn't that Adam and Eve, and again, the Jewish tradition is that there's a rock that is built over the Dome of the Rock. That rock is where Adam and Eve were created. So, and the Garden of Eden was here. Then God banished it and sent them out. So, but regardless, this spot right here is the center of all the world. The Bible says something, that the whole world would be surrounded. Jerusalem. It would be the cup of trembling, the stone of stumbling for the entire world. And my friends, when you think of the great cities in the world, Paris, Berlin, Moscow, Washington, Beijing. When you think of those cities, why is the world so focused on this? Because, my friends, the hatred of the Jews is demonic in nature, because God made a covenant with the Jewish people. That's why there's only one people in all the world that has ever been the design to totally annihilate. And my friends, with the Jews, it's happened over and over again. Has anybody ever said, let's kill all the French? Let's kill all the Germans? Let's kill all the Spanish? Has anybody ever said that? No, it's only the Jewish people. So if you want proof that the Bible is true, it's the Jews. Now, I want to tell you something. When I first started coming to Israel, in 1983, my first trip, you didn't find a Messianic Jew. And I want to tell you, over the last 30 years that I came, it's all together. There's Messianic kibbutzes, Messianic congregations. There's more and more that God is saving. But God's got a plan for the entire nation. And it is all going to culminate here. All right? I said I was going to take you back 2,000 years. Do I go back 2,000 years? The temple. One of the wonders of the world is setting here. Just like people today would travel around the world, they traveled here to see the temple of Israel, even if they weren't Jewish, because it was such an amazing building. Gold pillars in the front that glistened. The sun comes up from the east. This is the Eastern Gate, the Golden Gate. There were grapes that on the front of the temple that were the size of people. And so it glistened in the morning sun. And even people who weren't Jews would come here to see it. The time of Jesus, 2 million, 2.5 million people here celebrate the Passover. So you think it's crowded today? Imagine 2.5 million. Where the Golden Dome sits today is where the temple sat, somewhere. This is the most disputed piece of real estate in all the world. My friends, the reason the American embassy was never moved to Israel until now, we were afraid of the Muslims. That they would start a war. When Israel paratroopers landed on the Temple Mount and liberated it, several of them unveiled the Israeli flag on the top of the dome. They held it out. Immediately they were told to take it down. And Israel voluntarily, willingly gave control of what happened up on the top back to the Muslims. You know why? They said, we have shown them that we can take it. We have willingly given it back. We'll have peace. That's how they were. So where that is, then you see the green, the open area green. There's 40 acres up there. And then you see a building with a minaret. You see that? Okay, that's where the Roman fortress was. The Antonia Fortress. Always at Passover time from Caesarea. Remember Caesarea? We were there like 2 months ago. Do you remember that? Doesn't it feel that way?
Yeah.
It's like, that was a whole nother lifetime, wasn't it, that we were at Caesarea? That was the Roman headquarters. But during Passover time, they sent all the reinforcements up here. Because Jerusalem was always a hotbed, and especially this year. Because there was word that there was a Messiah. Someone that was coming. Now for the Jewish people, their idea of a Messiah was what? What was their idea of the Messiah coming?
King David.
A warrior, throwing off the shackles of the Roman Empire. A king like King David, again, will be independent. Won't have to pay taxes to Caesar. So you got to understand, because what do we find happens in a very short period of time? I mean, there are multitudes that are greeting Jesus as he's coming into the city. Where were those multitudes to stop Jesus from being crucified? You see, my friends, their idea of the Messiah was one that was ruling and reigning. For the disciples, they were so excited at what was happening. For the Romans, there they are, right beside the temple area. In fact, they had steps that went down to the temple area lest there be a riot. We read